Well, it turns out that Barron's, that fabulous magazine, had this headline before the markets opened today. It said Tesla stock is falling. Blame EV Let me talk better. Blame EV profit taking and China. Now, far be it from me to be critical of Barron's, but this is not quite right, and we're not really quite seeing the entire picture. Brian White is here to help me unravel what in the world is going on with Tesla, which at this moment, Brian, is down 15 buckaroonies.
That's a lot of smackaroobobs, my friend. It is an interesting day. And what is going on? Well, there's a convergence of factors, but I think the biggest one is a hype flight. There are people who love to chase the next big thing, and I've seen investors get burned on it over and over. I saw people who were all in on something terrible until they saw Tesla getting up to $300, $400 a share. And then they went all in on Tesla and that bubble popped a bit, at least for now. And yeah, there are people who are eager to sell their Tesla to buy Nvidia at its all-time high. Now, you don't know what the all-time high will be. You only know what it is so far. And there are plenty of buyers at these new all-time highs. The difference being Nvidia's fundamentals are pretty good for now. Their profit to earnings ratio is quite solid, even based on these outrageous prices. Will that hold for another year or two or 10? Impossible to know. They're well positioned for it, but I avoid buying into things when there's hype because I've done it a few times in the past and it has never worked for me.
Yes, you said something to me in the green room. You said, buy low, sell high is what some of these experts have been telling you for years. But people tend to sell high and buy low. I don't know.
Yeah, they sell low, buy high.
Yeah.
Well, Tesla's way down, so I'm going to dump it and buy the most expensive thing I can find. And that will surely do something. But the crazy thing is, when you look at 100, when Tesla was at 105, 110 bucks a share recently, there were people who were still selling it at that price, which is,
nuts. Yeah, just nuts.
Crazy to me. But,
but we do have sentiment shifts in the market too. So the sentiment for the last couple of years has been, who's the next Tesla? And people were chasing the EV space. Everything was about, we're going to switch all the cars to EVs, and we need to get involved in that business. And so people were buying whatever they could. They were paying $100 billion for Rivian, $100 billion for Lucid. I mean, they were just, where can I find the next opportunity in this category? Well, now the sentiment is, well, okay, we've played that game for a while, and now it's all AI. Where can I possibly get the next, Nvidia? What play can I make that's going to do that? And so you have people not just switching out of Tesla potentially for Nvidia, but for Microsoft, for Meta, which a year ago, 2 years ago, Meta was, not exactly everybody's favorite stock, but now today, okay, it's like everybody's excited about it again. So we have these ups and downs. What do you think in terms of the future of Tesla as far as a story stock is in this environment of shifting sentiment?
So there's a couple points on that. There are people who say, I want to buy a robotics company or an AI company, but I want to have the opportunity to get 50x, 100x returns. Now, no sane person reasonably expects 50 to 100, but if the possibility is there, then a 10x feels more likely. And they say, well, Tesla may have a lead in some categories of robotics or AI, but they don't have 100x potential. So I'm going to skip that one. But then if they take that money and put it into Google or Meta, those companies also don't have 100x potential. Again, 10x would still be a pretty outrageous number for those. when it comes to the smaller players in robotics and I feel like those are all gambling. And I know there are hedge fund managers who've done very well gambling on exactly this kind of thing, where they'll go in and say, I'm going to invest in 10 or 20 companies. And I know that all but maybe 2 or 3 of them are going to go bankrupt, but those other 2 or 3 are going to make the whole thing seem quaint in retrospect. Um, for individual investors, that seems like a very dangerous plan. These are people who have teams of experts following every aspect of all 20 companies, and they can't, you and I can't compete with that. Even if we dedicated all our time, we still don't have access to the resources they do, let alone some of the behind the scenes information that some of these guys are able to get just by being a large investor in a small company. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there, that people are looking for. And it's easy to look at 1 or 2 big success stories. I'm going to adjust this real quick. 1 or 2 big success stories and say, well, if this famous person can do this big thing, then surely I can too. And that's why, YouTube and TikTok exists, is because small people think they can become big people. Some of them do, but the odds are about the same. The odds of becoming the next Warren Buffett are not that much different than the odds of becoming the next, whoever, Taylor Swift. I don't know.
Or even Brian White. I mean, do people really understand how hard it is to get even to the level that you and I have gotten in this YouTube world? It's about 1% or 2% that get to this level. So yeah, it's unusual for people to be able to be stock players against, all the pros out there. But the best way to do it, according to everything that I've read, is to really know about 1 or 2 stocks, to just dig in and really understand them thoroughly, which is what we try to do on our channel.
And it's crazy. If it weren't for things like Patreon and YouTube memberships and X subscribers, I wouldn't be able to do this, because even though I'm definitely in the top 1% of YouTube content creators. You're probably also in the top 1%. It's not enough money to live.
No.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And that's being in the top 1%. That's putting every hour of every day into it.
Right.
But if I wasn't doing that, I'm sure I'd be up to no good.
Yes, that's what your wife keeps telling me. Okay, number 3 on the
yes, please. Go ahead.
Number 3 on the list. Wall Street is resetting expectations for the unit sales and the profits because Q1 looks soft. The numbers out of Fremont, the numbers out of Shanghai, Troy Teslike is saying 450,000. Maybe some of these people are worried that prices are going to drop. We had all the promises that the sales would jump because of the $7,500 incentive now being off the sticker. We have Tesla offering some new incentives, but they're not like really dollars. They're really things like insurance incentives and supercharging incentives and whatever. Anyway, but are these folks that are downplaying the first quarter too early?
Definitely too early. Definitely too early and off base on a number of ways. So trying to extrapolate from 1.5, maybe 2 months of data to give you the whole year is crazy, especially when you've got some of the products we're looking at. So Cybertruck is still a question mark. Their estimates I've seen are between 50 and 100 a day of production. And that seems consistent with how many we've been seeing rolling out to showrooms, to employees, and to customers, real customers around the country. So that tells me that by Q3, the Cybertruck will become the best-selling electric pickup of all time. Not a high bar, but Ford has been at it for 2 years longer, more than 2 years longer. So looking at the soft Q1, you've got a couple of factors there. One is Fremont, where they're doing the changeover to the Highland Model 3. That is ramping slower than expected. The demand is there. The vehicles will all be sold as soon as they're made. They're just not making them quick enough. The second is China. And The Bloomberglers had a terrible headline today, very much on brand for them. They said Tesla's Shanghai output lowest in over a year.
I saw that.
And is that over a year? What a weird metric. Oh, because you only went back to just after the last lunar new year and not into the last lunar new year. You skipped it on purpose. You very dishonestly compared holiday time to non-holiday time. So is Tesla's February production bad year over year? Yes, because last February they didn't have a closure. Is it bad same quarter over last year or last quarter? Not as clear. Not as clear. We have to wait for that because we've got strong export numbers, which are front loaded in the quarter. And that holiday impacts domestic sales. Of course it does. How could it not? By the end of this month, we'll have a much clearer picture and estimates for the year will start to take shape. Reasonable estimates, not drastic revisions based on almost nothing. So Shanghai and Fremont are the two biggest factories by volume, I believe. Yeah, they're still outperforming Austin and Berlin.
Right.
So if you're looking at Fremont, which we know is still ramping, their second highest volume vehicle, and we look at Shanghai, which just had their big holiday of the year in a different month than last year, or at least at a very different time than last year, you start to see some things that would tell you, don't freak out. BYD also, sales are just cratering. Are they, or is it the holiday? Because guys, and I've seen people on X saying, oh, we've got to, BYD is in deep trouble. This is great for Tesla. And I say, no, they're both in the same market, dealing with the same factors. And I believe BYD, with their low, terrible numbers, are also front loading exports. So their January was a high export month because they also have delivery waves, and that this will balance out by March. And if the claim, well, then maybe just China is dead and done. Okay, if it is, if the growth story is over for all manufacturers in China, which I haven't seen conclusive evidence to support, then they'll just start exporting in greater numbers, which they can do. There are markets that are hungry for, especially the Model 3 refresh, that will snap them up in endless quantities. And if the market is genuinely softening in China, that means the parts are going to get cheaper. Maybe even the production overall will get cheaper. That will reduce costs of goods. That will bounce back a little bit of demand, and especially either widen margins or increase deliveries in other markets. The sky does not appear to be falling above this Chicken Little's coop.
And moreover, the thing that people, I think, really forget, especially these so-called magazines that cover this kind of stuff, is that Shanghai is not where the growth is going to come this year. It might for BYD, but not for Tesla. We did 800,000. I forget what the exact number last year. The real number for that factory is about 1 million to 1.1 million. So there's not a lot of growth that can come. That would assume, full out, flat out production every month, of the year. So 80,000, 90,000 a month would be great this year. Can't really expect it to come, the big growth for Tesla to come out of Shanghai. It's going to have to come out of Austin or Berlin. Shanghai and Fremont are close to maxed out.
Pretty much close to maxed out, Randy. I would agree with you on all counts.
Okay, next reason would be that the headline softness in the EV business that's been talked about now for months and months and months has replaced. Now the headline is, oh, hybrids are really better anyway. And so therefore, the big three and Toyota and Honda, they've all had it right all along. And it's all going to be about hybrids. So today you've got NIO, Polestar, Lucid, Rivian, all down 7 to 9%. BYD's only down 3%. They make hybrids. General Motors and Ford are up. So is this a hybrid revolution? Is this where the market is going to go?
I don't think investors today are looking at the market that closely to make an assessment like that. I don't think that's what it is. Hybrids are a fantastic band-aid for the legacy car makers because they get to keep doing what they're good at, which is making profit on internal combustion, and just kind of dip their toes in the water on electric drivetrains. Now, at some point, they're going to have to tear the band-aid off and go electric, but they're not ready to do it today. The reality is, if we said effective tomorrow, no more gasoline sales, there would not be enough batteries. Now, there are enough batteries to make more EVs than we're making today, but not enough to cover the entire market. It's going to take another 10 years to get that supply chain built out. In the meantime, for every one hybrid you make, that's every one battery electric vehicle you make, that's 3 to 5 hybrids you can put on the road. And I say 3 to 5. Some people would say, no, it's 10. Hey, man, that battery's too small for that hybrid. Put something serious in it. 3 to 5 hybrids for every battery electric vehicle. At least you are getting significantly lower gas usage, especially if you choose to plug it in, which a lot of people I know do not. They will have some opportunities there. Will the market reward these people over the long term, these investors? These companies? I don't believe so, because the full gas ban is coming.
Yeah.
And it's coming. It is written in all of the major markets of the world, in Europe, in China, in parts of the US. And it's only, I think, 7 states, but it represents something like 40% of auto sales, 35 or 40% of, it's a huge percentage of auto sales. And what we've seen with California's air requirements is that as goes California, so goes the country, because you're not going to make 2 separate cars, one for the 7 states and a different one for the remainder. That's too complicated. It's easier to just make the one good car. So hopefully this buys those companies enough time to pull their head out of the sand, Randy, and get their asses figured out.
So, Brian, I know you hate to speculate. So why isn't the Model Y kicking butt in the United States this year? Okay, I mean, it's got the $7,500 discount. It's already inexpensive. It's in great shape. Some people are saying it's because they're waiting for the price to go down even lower, because Tesla has given us this psychological inclination to say, oh, well, it's going to go lower. Some people are saying it's because people are mad because of how much they lowered the prices last year. I mean, I can't figure out. The Model Y has got to be pretty much the best deal you can get in a car, period, in the United States right now. And that doesn't even count places like Denver, where you get another $5,000 off because of Colorado rules.
And that's crazy. If you look at a place like Denver, that $48,000 long range Model Y is 41, and then minus, what'd you say, 5,000 more? So 36,000. Right. 36,000 for a long range Model Y makes you mouth water. I don't think it has to do with the price drops. We've actually seen price increases on some models, right, because the pricing is dynamic. I didn't realize. Are you telling me that Model Y sales aren't holding steady? I thought they were doing all.
I think they're holding steady. What I was looking for was a big jump. I was looking for them to have to start putting on that other line, or the additional shifts down in Austin, like right out the gate. We're now, past February into March. And as far as I know, we haven't heard anything about big jumps in the production over in Austin.
I would say the problem comes down to people not knowing how affordable it is, not realizing that the price you see is not your actual cost of ownership, not understanding that you're going to be saving like $100 a month in fuel, even if your electric rates are quite high. The benefits are, as you and I know, quite outrageous. They're total cost of ownership compared to other vehicles. And there's a lot of persistent myths. I still see people saying, well, the Model Y and the Model 3, I would never buy one because you can't get insurance, or it costs, $1,000 a month. No, it doesn't. If your agent is quoting you a rate that seems unreasonable, shop around. They are not more expensive to insure than other comparable vehicles, than other new cars generally. And the weight, well, they're so much heavier. No, they're not. A Model 3 weighs, I think, 3,600 pounds, 3,800 pounds. That is comparable to a BMW 3 Series. A Model Y weighs 4,500-ish pounds. That is comparable to a BMW X3 or X5. These are not heavy. And well, yes, but a Camry only weighs, 3,300. I'm like, well, Camry actually weighs 33 to 3,600. So there are Camrys that weigh more than a Model 3. And a Model 3 ain't a Camry.
That's a fact. That's a real.
It's a fact.
So shouldn't these people that are thinking about whether they're going to invest more or take money out of Tesla, shouldn't the excitement around the Cybertruck be enough? I mean, what do they want?
So that's another one that's missing. Wall Street doesn't appear to be factoring in Cybertruck as a substantial part of the business yet. And I get it. It just came out. The numbers are still low. But unlike the Hummer, which they could make a lot of those if there was demand, it's the wrong product at the wrong price and it's the wrong everything. There's just, I don't know who it's for, honestly. Whereas the Cybertruck has the demand. And even at 100,000, there are still people waiting saying, yeah, absolutely, 100 grand, I'll pay it right now. Just let me have it. So that's going to help the margin over the short term, because even in early days, I don't believe it cost them 100,000 to build it.
No,
I think they're still at a per unit positive basis today. They might not be at 80,000, but the line is only speeding up. So I think Wall Street is grossly underestimating the Cybertruck and the Cybertruck halo effect. How many videos have you seen where people are just gathered around taking pictures? And Matt Wallace on X was saying, my real problem with the Cybertruck is when I try and just pop down to the grocery store, it takes an extra 20 minutes because I got to answer questions.
Yeah, well, they did say, that this was really just a truck that would be driven around Beverly Hills by the glitterati. This was only something that was going to be a big boy's toy to, impress his friends that he's a trucker. I don't know. I saw a couple of videos over the weekend. You might have seen them too, where the off-roading, whether in the snow or whether in the sand, seemed to be pretty good. And the people that were doing the driving, who seemed to know what they were talking about and doing, were pretty glowing in their opinion about how the truck was doing off-road.
I'll expand it further and say, yes, there are off-road enthusiasts who love the performance, but there are also celebrities who love it. There are also families who love it. There are also, like Matt is in the Air Force. He loves it. I mean, it is a slice of everybody. Who would you like to sell to? I'm going to give you a choice, Randy. Truck enthusiasts or everyone, including truck enthusiasts?
I do need to see a video, though, done by a plumber and a farmer. Those are the two we still need to see. Do you know any?
You're not wrong, though. You're not wrong, though. We need to see, we've seen a barista truck where they set it up and it's all, and the steamer and the espresso machine are powered by the onboard system. But we do need to see those rolling out. We need to see them at job sites, and it's a matter of time. We just gotta build more and get them out.
That's right. That's right. Well, okay, Brian, I think we've talked it through. I don't know. Listen, I'm just for fun, I'm going to look to see if there's any chance that, no, it's still down $15. So it maybe the steam is going out of this decline that's been going all morning. But I got to tell you, it's sitting right next to Apple that's down, and it's sitting right next to who else? Google that's down.
When I looked this morning, I saw that NASDAQ, S&P, and Dow were all down, but only by like 0.25%.
Yeah.
This was definitely an outlier.
Oh, yes.
But there's, it's
we've never seen it. We've never seen it before, Brian.
When the jump was this big, I immediately such a tumble like that, I immediately hit the news and to see, did
What's going on?
something crash? Did a factory burn down? What's going on? And of course, there was nothing. There was no news.
It was just Barron's. What are you going to do? Anyway.
Well, it could also be the looming $6 billion giving up 29 million shares to a group of activist attorneys would be potentially bad. That's just their proposal.
Yeah. Why don't you do a show about that, Brian?
I should.
Why don't you invite a lawyer, a guy that went to law school, onto your program to talk about that? What do you think?
I think I'll do that. I think that's a good idea, and I will see you over there.
Okay. We'll talk to you about that later. Hey, and everybody else, it's been great talking to you.